Hey guys, Miss Link here. I'm going to walk you through paraphrasing and how to skim through an article, find the information you need, and then take that information and put it on your note cards. So let's pretend that this is one of my articles here, Freshman Hear Address on Why Read Shakespeare. So hopefully I've read the abstract about this and I've gotten an idea of what this article is about, and I'll feel like, yeah, I need to peruse it, okay, look at it a little bit more. So I'm going to start just kind of skimming over it. I'm going to mouth out loud what I'm doing in my head, okay? Approximately 1,000 people gathered in the Basilica of the National Shrine, large freshman class, and we've got the director, an associate professor of English giving an address. Okay. He's a professor of Shakespeare, and he says, why read Shakespeare might seem like a strange question. Okay, it looks like he's proposing a question. I'm quite firmly convinced of the value of reading Shakespeare. Okay. Then we should go read Shakespeare, it goes without saying. And that's the reason for this lecture. Okay, I'm just kind of skimming through. I haven't found anything that I necessarily want to take notes on yet. I'm going to continue this through this next page. Okay, and so let's pretend that I did that. I don't want to waste your time. And then I get to this next section. I'm like, oh, okay, this header interests me. I want to give it a little bit more attention. A time for developing interest. If college is a time for asking questions, it's also a time for broadening your interest. Why should Shakespeare be one of those interests that you seek to develop at CUA? The obvious argument is that reading Shakespeare is hard work and not particularly rewarding, at least the first round. I would like to begin by addressing what I take to be a perfectly honest response to a first reading of Shakespeare, namely, I don't get it. Is it really worth the effort? Let me try to explain by comparing Shakespeare to music. We all know that some kinds of music are easy on the ears. This is the ear candy you like the very first time you hear it. And after you've heard it 10,000 times in 24 hours, it turns to an earworm that drives you crazy. There's also music that you don't particularly like the first time you hear it, but if you give it a chance, it grows on you and you discover something new about it every time you listen. At a certain point, if you listen enough, you realize that what seemed random is better described as complex. What had been annoying now instead strikes you as appealingly edgy. And what initially seemed weird now looks strangely wonderful. This is the way Shakespeare works. He gives you a serious headache the first time you try to understand him and the second. But if you stick with him, you can expect a breakthrough and the excitement and satisfaction of being able to say, I get it. The first time you listen to a piece of complex music, you hear, but you don't hear. Should it be any surprise then that the first time people read Shakespeare, they don't get it? What would be surprising and a genuine cause for concern would be if someone read Shakespeare and they understood him. They thought they understood him. The phenomenon of people having difficulty understanding Shakespeare is hardly new. It predates by centuries, and truncated attention spans our preference for cuts of modern video. The problem that the editors of the first folio addressed in 1623, just 7 years after his death, the editor John Hemage and Harry Condell were two of Shakespeare's fellow, and they wrote, read him again, therefore, and again, and again, and again. And if you do not like him, surely you are in some manifest danger not to understand him. They did not expect readers. Okay, they told them to read again. Okay, I feel like this is important. I feel like I can do something with this. So now I'm going to take what I've just read. I'm going to paraphrase it. I'm going to put it in my own words. It doesn't mean that I was born with that information. Okay, so, but it does mean that I'm taking this information that I've learned and I'm making it my own. Okay, so I still have to cite it. I still have to cite it as it being from Michael Mack's speech, but I'm not going to put quotation marks around it because I'm not going to be using direct quotes. I'm going to be putting it in my own words or paraphrasing it. So I'm going to open my cards and I'm going to go to one of my note cards here. I'm going to use a clean one. And I'm going to say something like, Michael Mack compares reading and understanding Shakespeare to the understanding of music. Sometimes songs are easy to understand on the first try. However, at other times, one must listen the song or the music multiple times to gain an understanding and an appreciation for the author's craft. So what I did is I took that whole like page and a quarter, and I smushed it, I summarized it, I put it in my own words, okay? And that's what I typed in here. I'm going to go back and I'm going to reread through this to make sure that I didn't use 3 or more words together in the same way, like the exact same words, because if I did, let's say that this was exactly the same. I would put quotation marks around it. Okay, so anything 3 or more words that's exactly the same from the original text, I'm going to put quotation marks around. But hopefully I've done a good enough job that I don't have that happening and I don't have a need for those quotation marks, okay? Now I need to change my page number. So this would be page 3 to 5. Page 3 to 5, and that's going to help me later as I make my in-text citations when I compile my paper. And I'm going to come up with a topic that's specific for this card. So I'm going to say, reading Shakespeare like music. Okay, now there was something else in that excerpt that I wanted to include, but I really like how it sounds. And that is, that's this quote right here. Where was it? I got those pages wrong, didn't I? It was pages 2 to 4, so I'll go back and fix that. Okay, but it was this quote. I love this. So I'm going to copy that quote. I'm going to go back here, make sure I'm on a new card. I'm going to paste that quote. And I've got to put where this quote came from. So it was from the First Folio editors. So I'm going to copy and paste that just so I have it. Shakespeare's First Folio editors, John Hemedage and Harry Caudle. Man, I cannot once said upon publication, comma. Okay, and so again, I have this first part, kind of the lead into my quote in my own words, okay? But this is a direct quote from that article and from these men, so I have to put it in quotation marks. I also have to make sure my page is correct, so I'm on page 3. So I'm going to put Shakespeare. Read and read again. And that's just going to help me. That topic is just helping me remember what's on this card, okay? And that'll be helpful to us later. So I'm going to go back. Okay, I did get those page numbers correct. So that's all I have for you. Just a simple kind of look inside my head. As I paraphrase things, you should use the same strategy. Again, whether or not it is paraphrased in your own words, or whether or not it is a direct quote, which only about 10% of your final paper should be. Both of these things, anything that comes off of these note cards will be cited in your essay, okay? And if you have any questions, write them down. We'll make sure to talk about them. Thanks.